Hi everyone, welcome to May Love Light. It's Thoughtful Thursday, and I got all dressed up for y'all on this quarantine Thursday. What's up, fam? It's me, Kristen May, and welcome to May Love Light. On today's episode, I am going to be answering a few questions from my family. I actually asked them this like a year ago, some questions, like asked for them to give me questions, and I have them here in my hand. And I'm gonna mix these up and I'm gonna pick 5 questions that I will answer at random. So let me get these out here. I'll put them was that one question? 1, 2, 3, 4. You know I can count, right? I'm so accomplished. Can count to 5 at least. 5. All right, questions from my family. What's your most embarrassing but memorable moment in your career? Ooh, embarrassing. It's really hard to embarrass me because I'm pretty much act a fool on my own, without really worrying about it too much. But something that did happen that was hilarious, and I guess it would be embarrassing, was one time my mom was staying with me for a few months and I worked from home, and she was asking me a question while I was on a call. I was in a meeting and I thought I was on mute, but I wasn't. And so someone in the meeting was talking and I said something like, could you please stop? Or like, it was something very direct towards my mom, but the person on the phone was like, oh, okay, Kristen. And then I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like apologizing to them. And then I was apologizing to my mom because it sounded so rude when I was like, no, I was talking to my mom. But no, I don't talk to my mom normally like that. Like, that's not how I talk to my mom. So yeah, that's something there. Put that most embarrassing. Next question. What did you see yourself being as a child? My family knows this, that when I was 8 years old, I wanted to be an engineer. But before that, I was obsessed with Bette Midler because she was an actress, a teacher, and a singer. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be just like Bette Midler. I was like, I want to sing and act and teach. Yeah, so that's actually what I wanted to be until my 3rd grade teacher. I told her I wanted to be a teacher like her, and she told me I should pursue engineering. Thank you so much, Miss Rosemond, because I did become an engineer. So yeah, that's cool. Who are you inspired by? Who am I inspired by? I don't want to sound cheesy, but I would say my mom. I am inspired by my mom. Yeah, I don't want to get all sappy on why, so I'll just leave it at that. I'm inspired by my mom. Next question. What is the amygdala hijack? So, in our brains, we have the prefrontal cortex, which is right behind your forehead here. And we have the amygdala, which is kind of like, it's deep in there. So our prefrontal cortex is our CEO. That's the one that makes all the decisions, judgment, making all the calls. But our amygdala it's very reactive. It is the fight, flight, or freeze response or reaction that we might have. So like, let's say you drop, or that moment when you drop your phone and you're like, ah, and you hurry up to catch it. That's your amygdala firing off. Or to move out of the way of a moving vehicle, like you're walking, taking a step in the street, and you step back real quick and a car goes by. That's your amygdala responding very quickly. The thing is, when we become overly, when something happens that might send us into a very, like, something happens and you have to run really fast. That's your amygdala kicking in and going. But in the sense of us being in a conversation and someone might say something that you find triggers you, and in that moment a switch is flipped and you just kind of go off or you flip your lid, that would be the amygdala hijack. And what happens is your amygdala is, it fires off and your prefrontal cortex gets overridden. It like overrides, and your amygdala will kind of go into action, which kind of, that's when people say like they get so angry and all of a sudden they like blank out or they don't know what happened after that or something. Your amygdala just like takes over and your prefrontal cortex is like burp, burp. When you practice mindfulness or you have mindfulness practices, you can strengthen your prefrontal cortex. You kind of create a buffer. So when something happens that will trigger you, your the buffer that you're creating through your mindfulness practices creates more of a space of pause. So somebody says something that triggers you, and we all know our family has a really great way of pushing our buttons. So let's say a family member says something that riles you up. You have that moment of, all right, how do I want to proceed with this conversation? Me reacting to that, what is the best way I can respond to this? And it happens really quickly, but instead of someone says something and you just, rah! That's the amygdala hijack. Ah! So yeah, that is the amygdala hijack, and you can work towards creating that buffer. Last question. How does one take the first step to becoming more mindful? There are many ways to cultivate being more mindful. Increasing your self-awareness helps, and ways that you can increase your self-awareness is through mindful practices. But a great simple way is to simply listen. Being more instead of us constantly talking, just really giving someone your full attention is a great step in becoming more mindful. Just fully listening to someone. And when I say fully listening, I'm not saying just nodding your head, going yes, 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 and you're just off thinking about some other things. No, you're listening to every word someone is saying. And there are times when, believe it or not, when people are talking to you, that they're not looking for you to have the answer. They're just wanting to share what's happening. And for you to be able to hold space and listen is a precious gift. Listening is a big thing, and it's so important in everything we do. Our relationships, working, it's in everything that we do. And it's are we really listening, or are we thinking about what it is we want to say next? So a step you can take to becoming more mindful is just listening. Without judgment, being open. Yeah. Ooh, something you can do to step into being more mindful is cherishing those moments of goodness when they happen, especially right now with a lot of the us being indoors, and a lot of us are not feeling too happy about it. But I'm sure that there are some little things that are happening that are just yay, and just take that moment of yay and hold on to it for a little bit and just revel in it. Thinking about those moment of goodness is really good for ourselves, and it's good for our brains. So that's something that you can do to cultivate more, a step in being more mindful when those little things happen, making the perfect tea. This morning I had peppermint tea and I added a little bit of maple syrup to it. just a little bit, and it just tasted so good. I just really enjoyed every sip. Just like, this tea is so good. And just, even though it's something so small, but just really holding on to it. Or like FaceTiming family members, just really enjoying seeing their faces. So those are 5 questions that my family asked me that I just answered to you all. Questions from my family. Questions from my family. Questions from my family. I'll see you all next time on May Love Light. We'll get through this.